I don't know. But anyway, so let's get down to brass tacks with the Ukraine and Russia. I took some heat. I don't remember. I don't think it was yesterday. I think it was the day before yesterday. I took some heat because I came out and said something very different from what the narrative is in the mainstream media and online. And that was that I said that I don't believe that the Ukrainian army, and the citizens that are left behind, I don't believe that they realistically, if you're being logical, I don't believe that they can actually prevail over the Russian army. I think that Putin is a warrior. He was KGB, so he doesn't feel like he has a moral imperative to tell the truth. None of that. He's 100% focused on his objective, and there's no rules on how to achieve that objective. He is well known for misleading people. He'll say one thing while the other thing is happening, and know that the other thing is happening, but he misleads. He makes people look at the right hand while the left hand is, cutting your throat. So this is just a reality of who he is, and that comes from his basic personality makeup combined with the experiences that he had as a young soldier and political attaché. And personality is a fairly stable construct, especially something like Machiavellianism and agreeableness. He's very low in agreeableness. Those are fairly stable, right? He is brilliant. He's a genius. And he's older now at this point, but regardless, we know that certain personality factors can remain pretty stable in adulthood unless there's something dramatic that changes it. And so I just kept thinking, I was watching all of these reports and I was watching all the videos, like tanks and armored personnel carriers parked, like orderly parked, not just abandoned, half in, half off a road. No. I mean, they're parked. Like one of the pictures I saw, there were 6 parked, and then there was one coming in behind it. They weren't abandoned. And I don't care what the news is telling you. They were not abandoned. They were put there intentionally behind a building where the building was protected on 3 sides. So you really wouldn't have seen it. But there were like 7 either tanks or armored personnel carriers, and they were just sitting there. Doors were shut. Everything was nice and orderly, right? And people are saying, oh, look, the soldiers are running away. They're so scared. The Russians are so weak. Ha, ha, ha. I'm thinking, do you really believe that? I mean, are you thinking at all? Like, are you putting your mind in it? So I've seen the videos of the young Russian soldiers who are weeping and crying, and they're afraid. And many of them are saying, where are we? Like, we did not know where we were going. We were told that these are training exercises. What are we doing? And they're really in the dark. They really don't know what they're doing. Now, obviously, the older commanders and whatnot, they would have to know. But the people that are driving these APCs and tanks, they don't seem to know. Now, let me ask you guys a question, okay? I just want you to think about this for a second. Putin, probably the world's, other than the Taliban, Putin is probably the world's one of the last great surviving warriors, right? Do we believe, now, if we take out the whole Russian or Ukrainian or US or Iraq, let's just say military. If you were running a military campaign Okay. Would you put a line of tanks and personnel 40 miles long, traveling right down a big highway, so that it's predicted that you're going to arrive 3 days before your caravan gets there? And the Ukraine has got a very active Air Force. Would you do that? Would you really say to yourself, hey, I know what, I bet we can sneak in hundreds of tanks and armored personnel carriers into the city, Kiev, that we're going to take over? I think we'll be able to just drive right up there to, Liberation Square or whatever it's called. And no one's ever going to know that we're coming. You really think that? Putin knows damn well that everyone saw his 40-mile long procession of tanks and APCs. What is that? I don't know. Is it a red herring? Is it a, hey guys, look over here? So that they can then bomb the shit out of Kharkiv and drop their paratroopers in. And I think I said that exact scenario 2 days ago. And how many of these trolls and haters were in the channel? Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to stay and listen to you. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you do what you want to do. But did your mainstream media talk to you about how foolish that is for Russia to send in that kind of artillery in a wide open, tanks and stuff put really close together so that you could capitalize and take more of the tanks out with a smaller bomb? You really believe that somebody like Putin is going to make that tactical error? No, he was trying to make everybody look at all of those tanks and APCs. He wanted everybody looking at them and studying them and saying, hey, what is this about? And while I'm looking at these satellite images and I'm going like, damn, that is a boatload. What is he doing? Because he knows that the Ukrainian Air Force has more than enough rockets, bombs, whatnot, more than enough to put it into that. Why is he doing that? And then boom, they're in the second biggest city. They'll get a foothold there, and it'll be safe, and they'll be able to get medical equipment taken care of. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, you've got full tanks, APCs that are parked all over Kiev. No soldiers in them, just parked, just waiting for what? For the paratroopers that are going to fall out of the sky. So I ended up finding this video, and I thought this was really interesting considering this line of discussion that we've had going on in here this last few days related to Ukraine and Russia. And so this is a video. I don't remember the date on it. Let's see, what was the date? November 25th, 2021. So, 6 months ago or so. This video was uploaded, and it shows the Russian paratroopers, the ones I've been talking about, the ones that are now in Kharkiv, right? It shows them training in November 2021 and what these guys are doing. I mean, here is Putin's army. The little 20-year-old who's driving that tank or driving that APC, and he's turning that tank around in the middle of the road because he sees a bunch of middle-aged men with rocks in their hand. That's not Putin's army. Right? His army know what they're doing. They will be in and out. They will kill who they want to, when they want to, and no one will know they were there except for the dead body. The KGB has been doing this a long time, decades. So let's see. Let's take a look at the Russian paratroopers and see what their skills are. And when this starts playing, would you put a 1 so I know that you can hear the audio? Please. Notice how fast the dog jumped in there? It's because he's done this before. He's ready. He likes jumping out of airplanes. I'm talking about the dog. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. The amount of trust that dog has. Okay. So weak, and he doesn't know what to do. He knows what to do. He knows what to do. So I think that like I said, I think that this has all been about softening up. I think that every time they send in a group of tanks or APCs, I think they're finding locations of anti-aircraft batteries, anti-tank batteries. They're finding the defensive. They're seeing where the administration and the military are hiding out. They're mapping out. They're using these young soldiers that are expendable. Why are they expendable? Because he has not invested any time or money in their training. The ones that are really valuable are the older guys that have been around for a long time, and they know what they're doing. They have been involved in many incursions and battles. And no, I think I think they're bait. I think they're bait, and I think that somebody is mapping it all out. And just like what happened with Kharkiv, when it's time, when they drop into Kiev, it's going to be over very quickly. He's going to know just what he's going to do and where exactly he needs to hit. So let's see. No, the dogs have on a they have on a like a helmet over their nose that they can breathe. So yeah, I did. I was thinking about that scene in Red October, Bebop. Yeah, you're. I was thinking about that because I just couldn't. I kept telling myself, well, unless Putin is suffering from dementia and he's just out of touch with his previous experiences, there is just no way that he would send a long convoy of tanks and APCs that are going to be on the road for days, wide open, easily seen, and easily neutralized. There's no way he's going to risk that unless, it's one of his pawns, right? I mean, people playing chess, you'll give up the pawn, especially if you're setting up the queen or whatever. So yeah, I don't think I think he's getting ready to do what he's going to do. So anyway, so I just thought that was very interesting. You think about the guy is trying to figure out, well, how are we going to get our dogs in with the paratroopers? And so they figure it out. That's just an insight into the mindset that for the real Russian soldiers, there are no obstacles. They're willing to do whatever they have to do. The fact that the world government, I'm nervous. It makes me nervous that the United States and the UK has been a little bit more active than the US, but it makes me nervous that the US is not speaking up, using their total capabilities, that they're kind of deferring down to the UN and the EU. I hope that they're giving them access to information, because we do have some of the best spy capabilities in the world. I guess you would assume that we're doing that, and we're just not the front face anymore like we used to be. And that part is okay with me. I don't care about that, but just I'm a little bit disturbed that our military don't seem to know what Putin's end game is, right? Let's see, Mandy says, seriously, they plucked them off the street. They had no idea what they were driving into. No, absolutely, Mandy. And they're so young, aren't they? Like, some of those boys look like they're 17, 18, 19 years old, and they're weeping. They're saying, where am I? Like, what is this place? We're supposed to be doing military maneuvers. They had no idea they were carrying live rounds. No, those are not Putin's soldiers. They're not his soldiers. So I don't know what he's up to. I mean, I don't know what the end game is, but it's a little bit more disconcerting to me that the U.S. government doesn't even seem to know what the end game is. That's a little bit unnerving. And make no mistake about it, Biden is in bed with China. Those are his friends. I mean, they have been friends for a really, really long time. And it just so happens that China and Putin are also their allies. So I'm just feeling a little bit uncomfortable that the U.S. is not being more proactive in kind of, letting Putin know, hey, we know what you're doing. We know you're doing this. We know what you're up to. We're not going to let you. Instead, they're resorting to this weird, elementary school. Ooh, you're dumb. You're so stupid. It's very strange. I don't understand it. But apparently this is the new army. These are new psyops, and I've never learned about what they're doing right now. I did have a couple of classes on the tools of psyops and what the end goal would be for different whether you're interrogating a soldier or whether this is more of like a social messaging, or it just depends on what your goal is, on what techniques that you would use, right? Never did any of my professors ever talk about creating public humiliation and shame for a world leader, a nuclear leader. That's actually the exact opposite. The exact opposite, meaning psychologically, you want to align with the bad guy. You want him to think that he's your equal, and that you guys are going to be able to be the two smartest people in the world, and you're going to come up with an ingenious solution. That's the effective way of doing it. This little, you're so ugly, you're so dumb, you're so stupid, that's usually the kind of thing that you see with like enlisted that are talking to prisoners of war. it may be effective in humiliating the individual soldier, but it just creates more hate and animosity, just makes things more difficult when you're trying to, form a new nation. So that's not the appropriate, behavior. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. But I feel pretty confident that Putin has not yet begun to fight this war. He's setting up his chessboard. I believe that in my heart. I'm like anything else I ever say, I could 100% be wrong. I absolutely know that and accept that. And that's one of the things about theorizing. You are putting together information that is yours and it's unique. And so, it's not really a danger of being right or wrong. It just ends up being how close to reality, did you end up coming once all the research and everything's done, the data's in and whatnot. And I hate to tell you, but I told you that the paratroopers were coming. So I just don't think that the big convoy, it's not real. I don't think that it's real, it's there, but maybe it's like really old equipment that's not any good. If Putin's going to put them on that road like that with no attempt to try to hide it or break them up into smaller groups to save them, he's willing to lose them. He's willing to sacrifice them. And at the same time that you think about that, you got to remember there are perfectly good tanks and APCs that are parked in Kiev waiting for someone to drive them. So that's where I think we are. All right. During the Cold War, America gave their word. It is shocking, Allie. God bless us and our brave military. It's weird in my house because my autistic son is obsessed with Russia, the military in particular. Wow. Yeah. So people that are identified on the spectrum, high IQ, they can become these experts. They had this special ability to really focus on one topic for long periods of time in a way that a neurotypical person would go crazy trying to do. I once knew a little 9-year-old kid who knew everything there was to know about every single roller coaster in the United States and Canada. That's what makes them geniuses. Do you know how many scientists are out there? I'm talking about like research scientists. How many scientists out there that are on the spectrum? There are some really brilliant doctors that are absolutely on the spectrum. That has nothing spectrum. The diagnosis of autism has absolutely nothing to do with intellectual ability, even though we used to kind of think that. Now we know that that's not true. The distribution of IQ scores in the general population is very similar to that of the population that is on the spectrum. So, you should ask him questions, BZ Mama. He's got lots of really good information to try to understand what they may be doing right now, right? Hey, Callie, how are you? I am wondering if I need to buy more water, fill my bathtub with water, or am I overreacting? Are y'all having like a storm, Bebop? I was just saying during Cold War, America said they would stay out of NATO. Yeah. My son is on the spectrum and he's brilliant. Oh, no, absolutely, Callie. So many people that are on the spectrum it is jaw-dropping how brilliant they are. Yeah. I bought him a Russian military hat for Christmas. That's awesome, BZ. I love it. All right. Okay. Well, that's really all I had. I just thought that was really interesting that they were taking their dogs in with them. It just gives you some insight that the real soldiers haven't arrived. That is my opinion. All right. Okay. He'll be back. Talk to you later. Bye.